The war between Russia and Ukraine has entered a new phase. The war has now spread to Russian territory. Things are not going as planned in Russia. This is increasing tensions in the country. So, how did the war spread to Russia? Why are tensions rising in Russia? Let's answer these questions together. First of all, we need to understand how this war spilled over into Russia. The Kremlin was making very bold statements before this war started. The Russian army was planning to capture Ukraine without any casualties, but the Ukrainian army thwarted all Russia's plans. The Russian army has been routed. Now there is a great fear in Russia, because there are explosions one after the other in Russia. Recently there were explosions at 2 military airports. This was the beginning of a new process. Let's look at the details of these explosions to understand this new process. A fuel tanker exploded at Ryazan military airport, southeast of the capital Moscow, killing 3 people and injuring 6 others. The fuel tanker burned for hours and the Russian government had great difficulty in extinguishing the fire. The explosion shocked the Kremlin. At another military airport in the Saratov region, there was a powerful explosion in the area where Russian military aircraft were located. Russian planes were damaged, but these were not the only effects of these attacks. A state of emergency has been declared in Russia. The Russian military has increased security measures to the highest level in all military bases in the country. There is an important reason why the Russian military is in such a panic. The area where these explosions took place is further away from the missile range of the Ukrainian army. The Russian military never expected such an explosion. The explosions have therefore increased the panic in the Russian army. So how did these explosions happen? The Ukrainian military has not claimed responsibility for these explosions. Russia says the source of the explosions is still being investigated, but this is not credible. Russia is afraid to say that these attacks were carried out by Ukraine, because this could further discredit Russia. Also, the Russian people are very angry with Putin because of these explosions. If it turns out that these explosions were carried out by the Ukrainian army, the anger of the Russian people against the government may increase even more. Support for the war in Russia is decreasing day by day. After the Russian army suffered a major defeat in this war, criticism of the war started to increase. Millions of Russian citizens are revolting against Putin's government by organizing anti-war protests. Putin is unable to suppress these rebellions. Putin has to win this war to suppress criticism against him. That's why the Russian media is trying to win the support of citizens by constantly reporting false news about this war. However, Russian citizens who learn the truth through their social media accounts show more anger towards Putin. Could these attacks really have been carried out by Ukraine? Is the military capacity of the Ukrainian army sufficient for these attacks? Experts say these attacks could have been carried out by drones. The Ukrainian army has the world's most advanced drone technology. These drones have been very effective since the beginning of the war. Let's take a closer look at these drones. Bayraktar drones produced in Turkey are one of the most important weapons of the Ukrainian army. Bayraktar, an armed unmanned aerial vehicle, has a maximum altitude of 27,000 feet. In this way, it cannot be detected by many radar systems. Using these drones, the Ukrainian army made continuous detections in the regions occupied by Russia. All movements of Russian soldiers were monitored minute by minute. Using these drones, the Ukrainian army has inflicted enormous damage on the Russian army's tank stockpile. A total of 2,940 Russian tanks have been destroyed since the beginning of the war. These tanks were the most powerful parts of the Russian army. As a result of the destruction of the tanks, the Russian army could not continue its ground operations. Ukrainian drones managed to stop Russia's operations. One of the most important features of Bayraktar drones is that they have a 27-hour airtime. In this way, they can carry out successful operations even at very long distances. It is believed that the Ukrainian army carried out these attacks with Bayraktar drones. The most important feature of Bayraktar drones is that they leave no trace behind. The Ukrainian army has achieved great success in all its operations with these drones. Since the drones also record video footage, videos of the operations are constantly shared by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. These videos are the biggest proof of how big a defeat the Russian army has suffered. Russia is very afraid that these attacks will continue. That's why security measures have been increased at military installations and oil resources in the country. The Russian economy is based on the sale of oil and natural gas. Explosions in these facilities could cause damage to the Russian economy. The Russian economy is in historic decline. The Russian ruble continues to lose value every day, and the Russian economy is drifting towards bankruptcy. Russia has to increase its oil and natural gas sales to avoid bankruptcy. However, after the recent explosions, there has been a major disruption in Russia's oil transfers. The Russian government is trying to increase security measures regarding the transfer of tanks carrying oil. However, this has severely affected oil sales. Russia has lost millions of dollars in just 3 days. The deterioration of the Russian economy is also making Russian citizens very angry. New hikes are coming every day, even for basic food products in Russia. This situation increases the anger of Russian citizens against Putin. There are new polls on support for Putin in Russia. The percentage of those who support Putin has now fallen below 30%. And for the first time in history, Putin's opponents are angry. Putin, who has ruled Russia since 1999, is experiencing the most difficult days of his political career. There are already discussions in Russia about who should replace Putin. Competition for the post-Putin era is also increasing among the top bureaucrats working in the Kremlin. It is thought that Putin can no longer rule Russia. However, it is not yet known exactly how Putin's political career will end. The biggest determinant will be the success of the Ukrainian army in this war. Support for Putin continues to wane as the Ukrainian army's successes grow. Zelensky manages to defeat both the Russian army and Putin. If the explosions in Russia continue, Putin may have to resign. If the war drags on, it is predicted that the Russian government will change in the first general election in Russia. This situation worries Putin a lot. What do you think about these explosions in Russia? How do you think these explosions affect the course of the war? Do you think Putin's political career will end as a result of these explosions? Do you think Putin will resign? Share your opinions with us. Follow us for more updates.